It's Ash from SuperVideos back for another video for The Walking Dead Dead City. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the titles and descriptions that they released for the 6 episodes of Season 1 of The Walking Dead Dead City. These titles and descriptions are actually super interesting and they give us a good understanding of the arc that we're going to see, the story arc specifically, which is definitely super cool. Also, we're going to talk about the rumor, or not even rumor, but the possibility that Dead City will get at least 5 seasons. So stay tuned, we'll be right back to break these down. Alright, as always, before we dive into it, smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. With that said, let's dive right into it. First, let's take a look at this general description that was posted on AMC. Now, the one thing that I'm confused about is the timeline, because it does say a 6 episode series slated to premiere in April 2023 and starring Lauren Cohan and Jeffrey Dean Morgan reprising their roles as Maggie Rhee and Negan. It's not April, it's actually like end of May, early June, from my knowledge. So this appears to be kind of off, but maybe there's something there that I don't know about. But anyway, the general description reads, years have passed since we saw Maggie and Negan. 2 years to be specific, I think, and they must now form a tenuous alliance in order to accomplish a dangerous mission. And we obviously know what that dangerous mission is. They're going to be on their way to Manhattan to look for Maggie's son, Herschel Jr., who was captured by someone that Negan knows. We're going to get into that more in a little bit. Maggie and Negan journey to the island of Manhattan, which, having been isolated since the beginning of the Walker apocalypse, has developed its own unique threats. That is definitely super interesting. I mean, I would love to see something unique and fresh in the Walking Dead universe, and the city setting being Manhattan, and also the idea of a unique threat definitely checks the boxes for me as far as things that I'm absolutely looking forward to seeing that's fresh in that city. While in the city, Maggie and Negan encounter native New Yorkers, evade a marshal with a troubled past, and hunt down a notorious killer. Obviously, the marshal is the bounty hunter. I'm assuming that was looking for Negan, and I'm assuming that the notorious killer that they're hunting down is the Croat, who has a connection to Negan, either an ex-savior or someone in a community that Negan and the Saviors ruled over. The description continues, but as the pair moves deeper into the gritty depths of Walker-infested city, it becomes apparent that the traumas of their tumultuous past may prove just as great of a threat as the dangers of the present. And that's obviously what has already been teased in the teasers and trailers, which is the head-to-head fight between Negan and Maggie because of their history and their past. Something that I was hoping they don't dive deep into, because we already saw a satisfaction to that story, or a ending to that story, you could say, in the original show. So to come back to it now in depth seems a little repetitive, to be completely honest. Now, with all of that said, let's move into the titles and descriptions. We have episode 101 called Old Acquaintances, which has the description of Maggie finds Negan and they travel to Manhattan. A marshal named Armstrong follows Negan, meeting a quiet girl named Ginny. Now, the title itself, Old Acquaintances, is either referring to Negan and Maggie or Negan and this marshal named Armstrong. They might be old acquaintances in some way, shape, or form, which is definitely super, super interesting. Now, I am surprised that the bounty hunter is going to be introduced in the first episode. I like it because we're going to get right into it and they're not going to waste too much time. But I was hoping for a little bit of build up, but they could still do that in just one episode. I just hope that they don't rush the build up just to get things going, because even though we want to get things going, there should be some level of build up as well. Now, it's interesting that it says they meet a young girl named Ginny Very interesting. I'm assuming that's the girl that we saw in the teasers and trailer, and also the one that was in some of the promotional pictures that they released, and some of the behind the scenes pictures, actually. But I don't know what to expect from her. I'm assuming that there's going to be some sort of fatherly bond between Negan and this girl. We've seen that many times, numerous times actually in the past, with Negan and Carl, and then Negan and Judith, and so on. So they're probably gonna follow the same type of theme again, but this time with this new girl named Ginny. Episode 102 is titled Who's There? And the description reads Maggie and Negan encounter native New Yorkers. Armstrong revisits a trauma. Ginny attempts to adapt to change. Now, one thing that I'm super excited for is the fact that we're getting into Manhattan and New York in the second episode. So, episode 1 is going to be the journey to New York, and we're going to be in New York from episode 2, which is awesome. I thought maybe they're going to drag that and kind of stretch it so that they get to Manhattan by the fourth or fifth episode, but it seems like they're just going to get them to New York pretty quickly, which is definitely awesome. Not much else to say about the rest. I mean, we don't know Armstrong or Ginny, so descriptions about what they're going to go through and what happens with them is really vague and irrelevant at this point because we don't know the characters. We're going to have to wait and see what happens with them and where their story goes. The third episode's title is People Are a Resource, and the description reads Dark instinct reveals themselves as Maggie and Negan form a strategy. Armstrong is tested, Ginny embarks on a daring journey. Again, when it comes to the Ginny and Armstrong characters, not much I want to say because we don't know them. So I can't really say anything meaningful about the references to them in this description. But when it comes to Negan and Maggie, I'm definitely intrigued to see what happens in this episode because it does say Dark Instinct revealed themselves. So that's obviously hinting that the dark side of Negan is going to come back to an extent, but we're also going to see Negan and Maggie forming a strategy and teaming up. So I'm definitely looking forward to see what's happening in this episode when it comes to their dynamic. But the title of the episode, People Are a Resource, is directly linked to Negan and the Saviors because that's what he used to say when he was the leader of the Saviors. People are a resource. So that's definitely super awesome. Who knows? Because of this title, they might be doing some flashbacks in this episode as well for Negan, maybe to tie things together and connect the dots a little bit with Negan, maybe going to his past and the dark instincts that he had in the past and connecting that to how he's feeling now and those dark things coming back to him or something along those lines. The next episode, 104, is titled Everybody Wins a Prize. And then the description reads Maggie and Negan carry out an attack, but not everything unfolds according to plan. Jimmy and Armstrong each make unexpected contact with others. Not much I want to say about this one. Not too many things are revealed. The only thing is that we're definitely going to see the first, possibly the first, I should say, attack that Negan and Maggie are going to impose on the Croat and his crew. So that's definitely super cool. Next episode 105 is titled Stories We Tell Ourselves, and the description reads Truths are unearthed and motives are revealed as Maggie and Negan and the others travel further into the city's depth. Pretty self explanatory, not much to break down. I mean, when it comes to truth coming out, it could be something about Negan or Maggie or the new characters. So, not much really to break down there. And the title is not really giving us any sort of reveal or hinting at anything as far as the story. So, not much we can say about that. The last episode, the season finale, episode 6, is called Doma Smo. Now, before I even read the description, Doma Smo is actually a Croatian sentence that translates to we are at home, which is definitely super interesting because we do know the Croat is Croatian, obviously. So this is definitely referring to the Croat. Now, when it says we are at home, it might be something to do with a reveal about how the Croat fits into everything and his real connection to Negan. I doubt that they're going to reveal that big connection until this episode, they might tease it, but they're not going to reveal it directly. And I feel like this episode is going to mark the episode where we actually get the reveal about the connection. The description reads, tensions between Maggie and Negan come to a head. Ginny's search continues. Questions arise around Armstrong's path forward. So obviously, this teases that we're going to see Maggie and Negan go head to head. So a fight of some sort between them, which we saw a tease at in the trailer. So that's cool. But other than that, not much to really talk about. We know Ginny goes missing because they search for her, or it's revealed that they're searching for her here. But other than that, not much to break down. The other thing I do want to mention about the title, though, before I forget, is maybe home is referring to where Negan and the Croat first met. Something along those lines. Maybe home is the Croat community. If the Croat was part of a community that Negan and the Saviors ruled over, or if the Croat was an ex-Savior, home could refer to the origin of how Negan met with the Croat and that whole scenario. There's been rumors that the Croat is the original Savior's leader, and that could also kind of tie in with the title of this episode, if that's in fact where the story goes. But that's pretty much everything as far as the descriptions. But I do want to talk quickly about the tease or the possibility that Dead City will get at least 5 seasons. And I think that's super awesome, obviously, because we're getting more Dead content. But at the same time, I have a feeling that this means they're going to be stretching things out a little bit after season 1. And the reason why I say that is because we know that there isn't really that much content with Negan and Maggie other than the search for Herschel Jr., which is season 1. So where they take it after that depends, and it might end up being something where they're winging it. What I mean by that is that there is no clear story, like there's no arc. It's just as they go, which is what we saw with Fear the Walking Dead. And we definitely saw the problems with that because they didn't have original content and they didn't have anything to go by. The story stretched and stretched and stretched until it was just unbearably bad. So I hope that Dead City doesn't face the same problem. The other thing I want to mention is from the spin-offs, Submit with Rick and Michonne, Dead City with Negan and Maggie, and Raise the Dead with Daryl. I was expecting Dead City to be the shortest of them all, but it seems like it's going to be the longest, which is interesting. 2 more things I want to say about this. One is don't expect Manhattan and New York for 5 seasons. I don't think that's going to happen. If we're lucky, we're just going to get New York and Manhattan for 1 season, and they're going to move past that, and we're probably going to see more familiar and similar environments like we saw in the original show after that. The last thing I want to mention is that if Dead City becomes a long-running show like the original, I'm not saying like 11 seasons, but like 5-6 seasons, like it's rumored, then that begs the question, why did the original show even end? They could have just continued, and I know a lot of people are going to say because they wanted to bookend the comic arc and the comic story and kind of move on after that to other things. But at the same time, if you really think about it, if Dead City ends up being the flagship show after the main show, then it would have made sense to just continue, maybe not continue right away. We could have seen like a long break of like 2 years or 3 years, and then the story could have continued. In the meantime, we could have seen some of the things with the other spin-offs, but it seems like they wanted to carry forward right away, and that, like I said, begs the question, why didn't they just stick to the main show and continue it? But that's pretty much everything I wanted to go through in this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.